Hey everybody, thanks for coming fishing with me today. You guys will notice this format looks a little different than what I normally put out. That's because I'm fishing in a really deep reservoir today. You look at the depth up there, it's 55 feet where I'm at right now. It actually goes down to 60 foot. And I'll be highlighting the lures a lot today because it's really hard to keep up with where those things are when you're fishing in the depth. All right, you guys see that red? That is what I'm after today. Those are hybrids. Hybrid striped bass, cross between stripers and white bass, and they are aggressive. And watch what happens when the school comes by this rattle trap I've got running around. That's actually a Yozuri Rattling Vibe. It's what I'm using there, and it's what I used most of the day today. They like anything loud and flashy. There he comes. All right, they've seen. Yep, there they go. And you saw the whole school of them. When they heard it and noticed it, they all attacked it. And that's what makes these things so fun. If you catch one, you probably found them, and you're gonna catch a lot of them. Look at him. That's a good one there. This was the 4.5 pounder right here. That's a pretty good size fish. 4.5 for these. Um, if you keep watching, I actually catch my biggest one that I've ever caught today, which was a little over 8 pounds. It was 8.14 pounds. This one was about 4.5, which is a good eating size. So while I was after stripers today, or hybrids, hybrids, stripers, wipers, they go by a lot of different names. While I was after those today, I really couldn't help myself. Look down here, guys. This is close to the dam on Lake Claiborne, and this time of year, it's just loaded down with crappie. You guys can see them. There's a few up above the shad, but most of them are below. All the bait fish. They're just everywhere. And this is the lake. The last year, I had two poles out at once because that's all I could keep up with, and I was dragging shiners around out here, and I caught 50 fish in one day with those two poles, and just like this same kind of setup right here. I didn't have LiveScope last year, so I just saw them on my chirp sonar and just dragged shiners around out here, and it was one fish after the other. And this is why. Look how thick they are down there. So what I'm doing right here, I still have the rattle trap on here, but that's a crappie up there. You see him? He spots it, comes up, and he nails it. So those crappie that are up above the rest, I found they're more aggressive. So I figured that out today. Those that are up higher like that seem to be a little more aggressive today, and they would hit the bigger lures. And so look at that, crappie hit the rattle trap. Yeah, but that was, I just couldn't help myself. So I was really out here bass fishing because I wanted to make a bass video, but I just couldn't. I couldn't sit here and look at all these crappie and not try to chase after them. I think actually, yeah, this is my jig pole. So I went ahead and once I saw them stacked up right here, you guys see that it's about between around 5 to 10 feet away from my boat. That big stack of them that's just lined up thick. I couldn't help myself. I said, oh my, I gotta throw a few jigs out here and get some crappie because, while I was waiting on the striper schools to come back around, I decided I was gonna get a few fish to eat for dinner, and I mean that you could have caught as many as you wanted today. As far as crappie goes, they were just thick out here everywhere. And so far, every year they do this. They probably do this in any deep reservoir anywhere, right? You go out, and man, you can just barely see my lure. You guys see it at the top left of that square? There it is. And so I'm highlighting so you guys can keep up with where the lure is, because it was hard for me. I had to lock onto it. So if I looked away for a second, I wasn't gonna be able to find it again. Watch this fish. You see him move? There he is. And my bail flipped open again on me. I probably need to retire that reel. I think it's been stepped on a few times or something. And here I'm towing this fish up from, I think he was about 40 or 45 feet down. And so when I catch them that deep, like if I catch a crappie from that depth, even if they're small ones, I'm going to keep them. I didn't catch any small ones today. They were all good eating size fish. That was probably maybe the smallest one I've caught all day. That's probably a 9-inch, but I keep those anyway. But you know, if you pull them up from, all right, you guys see those big marks coming in. Those are those are stripers. That's what I'm after. Here comes my lure falling down. Watch them. They are super aggressive. They're and that's not a jig. I actually put a weight above my rattle trap to help it sink faster because I was fishing so deep that, you know, when I saw these fish, I wasn't able to sink. My lure was not sinking fast enough for me to get down to them a lot of times because they moved so fast. And so I added a big piece of split shot, right? Oh, that one had it for a second, but I didn't set the hook. This one, there he is. I got him. But look at them out there. You can still see them. They're so aggressive. They're just hitting anything that moves. And today they were following sort of a pattern. Like I set up in one of 2 or 3 different spots, and it seemed like they would come around every 5 or 10 minutes to one of those 3 spots. So I just kind of moved around between those spots, and I would catch a few crappie here and there between the stripers. I didn't put all the crappie catches in here today because I didn't want this to be you know, another crappie fishing video. I wanted this to be a bass fishing video. And you guys will notice whenever the screen, look at that, that's a good one too. That might be the smallest one of the day, or second smallest. I think this was the 3-pounder, 3.5. Still a good fish, good eating fish. If you guys haven't ever eaten them, if you don't keep them, you should. They're delicious. I used to just throw them back because I heard they were kind of nasty, but you trim out all that red meat, you know, cut that line out of the middle of them when you go to cook them up, and they are super good. I don't fry those. I cook them on a grill. Just throw a bunch of lime and some garlic stuff on there, and with some oil. Throw them on the grill about 30 minutes after you soak them in all that, and they're delicious. All right, here they are again. You guys see them. They're aggressive. They're hitting. Look at that. Oh, I missed him. But watch, I didn't know that I had this fish, but I did. I missed the first one. That second one came up and grabbed it, but he swam right towards the boat. So I had no idea he was on there, and I was like, oh, I missed the fish. And then, boom, he starts swimming with it again. So that was a fun one. Like I said, with these things, it's nonstop. If you can get into them, if you find them, you can catch fish all day long. My arms were hurting at the end of this day. Probably mostly from that 8-pounder that he didn't want to come in. I probably should have used heavier line. Today I was using, I think 15-pound test line, and I had the drag set right around 6 pounds. And so the line was a little light for this. I just didn't want to reel up another spool, but next time I come after these things, I'm gonna put some heavier line on. Yeah, there's another. This was the smallest one. Yeah, this one right here was right under 3 pounds. He was like, you know, 2.9 or something. Still a good eating fish. You can keep 5 of these. I'm in Louisiana, and I can keep 5, and that's what I did. I kept 5, and I just threw the rest back after my 5. I think I wound up catching, I don't know, 10 of these things today. Oh, here he comes. That's a good mark. I think this might be the big one right here. Yeah, and so this one, yeah, this is the big one because the LiveScope just happened to be lined up in a way that you get to see this fish as I fight it. So I didn't plan on this, but it was kind of neat to watch. Look, he goes right back down to the school. Look what the school of fish is doing. They are mobbing him. They think he's moving around like crazy because, you know, he's attacking bait. And so they're just everywhere around him. And here he goes. He's diving again. And so, you know, keep in mind I have, you know, the drag set right around 6 or 7 pounds, and this fish will not come up. I cut out a lot of this fight because it went on for so long. But this was a hard fighting fish, and I knew it right when I hooked into him. I could feel that, you know, he's not moving, kind of tug on the end of that pole, kind of like you hooked into a cinder block. and this was awesome. I had a lot of fun fighting this fish in, and when I saw him, you know, I knew this was a monster. There are plenty of bigger ones down there, but this was my biggest. Oh, I almost missed him here. This was my biggest one, biggest I've ever caught. As far as these hybrids go, is this one right here. You know, most of them I picked up with one hand up the net, and I had to use both to get leverage on that big thing. Look at him. Look at that fish. Oh, I was so excited when I caught him. Look, that's a big one. That's a big one. And so these things are, you know, they're stocked and they're sterile, but when I kept this, you know, I keep these fish. I eat them, 8.14 pounds. That's a big one. When I filleted this fish, it was full of eggs. You know, I know they're sterile, but this one was, like I said, just full of eggs. That's a big fish, and there's so many of these down there. Like I said, when I crappie fish out here, you know, you'll just be cruising around, dragging minnows around, and then all of a sudden, every pull in your boat just goes whoom, all the way down, and it's because of this right here. This is the reason. Look at this school coming through. There's some big ones down closer to the bottom too. I probably should have chased after those down towards the bottom, but they look to be like the bigger fish. There's big fish everywhere in that school, though. I'm seeing them. Here comes one. There he is. And look, the rest of them are chasing him up, trying to figure out what he's chasing after. They're like, oh man, that's a lot of big fish. And look, here they come again. Another part of the school. There are so many hybrids out here. It just makes it so much fun. You know, I started the day out actually fishing for largemouth. So that's what I wanted to do today. I wanted to make a bass fishing video and go out and have some fun and catch a bunch of bass. So I spent the first 3 hours chasing largemouth, and I found them. I found 4 different, you know, schools of them chasing shad out in open water. I could not make them bite anything. I probably changed lures 7 or 8 times trying to find something they would bite. The only thing I could find that they would even chase was very small, you know, like almost like crappie jigs. They were small bass lures, swim baits, and that's what I could get them to chase. I never could get them to commit and actually did hit. So when I came out here and started chasing stripers, the story changed as soon as I got out here to the deeper water. These things, they don't disappoint very often. There's never a time when they're picky, really about what they're gonna hit or how they're gonna hit it. If you make noise, and you get a noisy lure, a flashy lure. So I lost the LiveScope part of this, so you know, but I still have the above the water video, and you can see this is another striper. You know, he's slamming into it. Man, they fight hard. This was probably about the time of the day my arm was starting to get a little tired from catching so many of these things and catching crappie. You know, pulling crappie up from 40 or 50 feet is it'll wear you out after you catch, you know, 10 or 20 of those also. But man, it was a fun day. Especially for it to start out so slow, where I was disappointed that I couldn't get any largemouth to hit anything. That's another good sized striper right there. Look at that one. I think I was over my limit already on this one, so this one goes back in the water. So get to see him, and then he goes back to go annihilate some more bait fish with his friends. Oh. But like I said, I probably should have put some of that video in here of the largemouth, where I just could not make them bite. So the LiveScope kind of messed up there again, but you guys could see what I was chasing after. There was a big school above my lure there, and so I reeled up to it, and you know, they smashed it, of course, as soon as you get close. This rattling lure, as soon as he gets close, they'll hear it, and then they're on it. And again, I was using the Yozuri Rattling Vibe. It's the it was in the, I think, gizzard shad color was the color of it. I'm not sure of the weight, but whatever the weight is, I wish I'd had the heaviest one they made of this, because like I said, I wound up putting a big piece of split shot above it to help it get down even faster, because I just had to get, I'm fishing in 60-foot water, and to make it sink faster, I wanted as much weight as I could get. But it was a fun day fishing. This is actually my first trip out with LiveScope targeting these hybrids. So I would catch them a lot last year, but being able to see them like this was really neat. And back in the water he goes. Those I don't worry about surviving. If even if you're pulling them up from 30 or 40 feet, I don't worry about the hybrids surviving. You give them a good toss in the water like that, and it'll kind of smack that air bladder, and they're good to go. They're probably good to go anyway. Those are some tough fish. So guys, I think that was the last bass for the day. I think I swapped back over and caught some more crappie after this. It was a lot of fun out here today. I'm gonna do this again. I had such a good time. I hope y'all liked the video, and I appreciate y'all watching. Thanks everybody.